Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you all for being here today. I think it's probably the worst day we've had in Geneva in many's a month. Slush and rain and cold. But we had our warm cup of coffee this morning. We had, if you're an Anglophone, the wonderful dulcet tones of World Radio Switzerland to tell us where the traffic was blocked, where the best routes were to take. We had the wonderful city of Geneva, more or less doing a good job keeping the streets clear and keeping the buses running so that we could all get here in time. Can you imagine if your life suddenly changed from this beautiful latte with some chocolate drops on the side to this, or this from Pakistan this year, or this from Aceh after the tsunami, or this, or even this. Can you imagine if you lived here? All of your normal sources of information are cut off. In Haiti, for instance, and I was privileged, both privileged and affected in terms of the experience that we had in Haiti in the first weeks of this tremendous disaster that happened this year. But one of the first impacts of this disaster was all local media was shut down. No radio, no TV, no newspaper. It's quite a scary thought. I don't think any of us have ever had to deal with that. You get up in the morning, WRS is no longer there. Le Temps doesn't arrive. You don't know what's happening. You're in a void. You're alone. Your family is separated. Your loved ones are nowhere to be found. You're really, really desperate for information. We've known this in the humanitarian sphere for many years, that information is an important commodity for people affected by disasters and conflict and different types of crisis. The ICRC, Genevois Organisation Extraordinaire, this is a traditional type of communication, and while it may appear simple, this cross communicates so much, mostly positive, to all of the people that we are bound to serve and assist. It is an amazing experience when you drive across the deserts of the Sahel or of Eritrea and Ethiopia just with your cross, and people come running towards you because they know that you're there for them, you're there to dig a well, you're there to provide medicine, you're there to provide some sort of assistance. So this, in a very basic way, is also an important type of communication that we've been practicing for generations. We've also copped on in places like Somalia, where we cooperated with the BBC World Service Trust to air programs to the Somali diaspora all around the world. But of course, those left behind in Somalia needed to hear them, so wind-up radios were distributed along with the wheat flour and the cooking oil and the tarpaulins and the medicines. One of the most incredible humanitarian activities that exists today, it actually goes back, I was shocked myself, although I'm with the Red Cross for so many years, actually goes back to 1870, to the Franco-Prussian War. This is the Red Cross message. It allows people separated by conflict and crisis to communicate with each other across battle lines, across front lines. This particular photograph was of a lady in Colombia who just got a letter from her brother who she thought was dead for 8 years. From my own experience as a humanitarian worker, this is one of the most emotional experiences you can possibly ever encounter in the field, because you are bringing not just such incredible news to people whose emotional ties have been cut with their families, and the psychological support that they receive from a simple letter is very, very important. So all of this to say that information, communication has always been considered as an important part of what we do as humanitarians. It's not just about the tarpaulin and the wheat flour. In 2005, we brought out this report, World Disasters Report. This was one of the main conclusions in it. People need information as much as water, food, medicine, or shelter. It can save lives, livelihoods, and resources. Information bestows power. For people who are sort of aid professionals, logisticians, the guys who are really on the front lines delivering what we know as the tangible assistance, this was actually quite radical, although we've been doing it in different types and formats for years. And the last part is very important. Information bestows power, because of course as humanitarian aid organizations, we are in a powerful position coming with the resources that are so desperately needed. But we must ensure that the people who need this assistance and for whom we are there really to serve, that they are not made powerless in this act, and that they are included and engaged as much as possible. This is a wonderful photograph for me. This is from Haiti, from day number 3. This type of business sprung up all over the streets of Port-au-Prince and Léogâne, Cité Soleil, all over Haiti, that was affected by the earthquake. Does anybody know what it is? Can you tell what it is? It's a mobile phone charging station that some guy set up. There was dozens of them all over Haiti. Why? Because people desperately needed to get in touch. They needed this more than they needed to know about excuse me, fresh water, sanitation in the early days. Obviously there was search and rescue, there was first aid needed, and all of these different types of activities, the known knowns if you like, but the people themselves were desperate for information. And this is where the main thrust of this talk comes in, how new technologies are transforming the way we think about aid, the way we conceptualize it, the way we deliver it, and particularly the way we are engaging with and the way we should be engaging with the people affected by disasters and crises. Haiti for me is a game changer. It was an amazing experience to be sitting in the dark of night on the rubble, ourselves as the ones who were there to help, with the tweets coming in non-stop, the literal hosepipe of information. And as an aid organisation like ours, who's set up for large, active response, again tackling the known knowns of search and rescue, first aid, water, sanitation, etc., how to deal with these individual calls for help was something foreign to us. It wasn't totally unexpected, but the volume of it was totally unexpected. And we realised that there's many, many problems for aid organisations like us to be able to adapt, to answer these calls for help. It's extremely difficult to verify them, for instance, and it's extremely difficult in the middle of the night when you're under security curfew to get up and leave and address somebody's call for help who's saying, for instance, that they're dying, that they're trapped in the rubble. This I will come back to in a moment. The mobile phones, we realised in week 1, the penetration of mobile phones all over Haiti was, it looked to us like 100%. Everybody, even some kids, had mobile phones. And again, it was this hunger for information. So we sat down thinking, how can we leverage this amazing opportunity to communicate with everyone during such a disaster? And how can we at the same time find a way to understand and manage better all the information that's coming into us? We were lucky enough that there was a mobile telecoms company called Trilogy International, known as Walla in Haiti, who listened to us and who was very keen to help us do something about this. And between then and now, less than a year later, we have managed to develop this incredible software, which, the beauty of which is so simple, but which has been developed by people from Haiti and also from Bolivia, because they have also a software hub there. So it's very user-appropriate technology. It's developed for basic mobile telephone use, not necessarily for the 3G fancy phones that we have already, that most of us will have, but already it would work for that. And that's what I like about it most of all. It's a user-appropriate technology. It hasn't been developed in Palo Alto or in Geneva, it's been developed in Port-au-Prince. So how does it work? It does something quite phenomenal that doesn't exist today. These are all mobile phone relay stations all over Haiti. Now, before we were able to, if we had a telecoms company who would oblige us, we were able to communicate a blast. It was called an SMS blast to everybody, okay? But if there's a storm coming up here in Cap Rouge, you don't want to freak out the people down here in Port Salut, okay? You want to be able to target your message. So this was our business requirement, which we worked with the telecom company on. So they've developed for us a software, which now they have given us proprietary rights of, to use all over the world. I mean, that's also part of the future of what we'll be doing, to target each one or any cluster of those mobile relay stations. When you're looking at the back office of these stations, you can see all the mobile phones live. It's actually quite scary. You can see the mobile phones live. So we're only communicating to live mobile phones. The reason we don't want to communicate to the ones that are run out of batteries or that are offline is because then the SMS queues up. You cannot stop it queuing up, apparently, and it just blocks the system. So we can get a very high hit rate. So we can, for instance, target an area, beg your pardon, wrong button again. We can target this area, for instance, and say, okay, we're having a health vaccination program tomorrow for for single mothers. And with the demographic information that we have, with the targeting that's possible, we can just target this area. The first time we used it was for a vaccination campaign. Our target was 80,000 people. We rarely reach 100%. 130,000 people were vaccinated. So already from the very first time we used it, it was incredibly successful. This is a hotline that we have, 733, so people can talk to us. It's free of charge, of course, and this is very important because there's no point in just communicating one way. Communication is about listening. It's about getting the information back. So we've had this hotline up and running from the very beginning, as well as training our volunteers and colleagues from the Haitian Red Cross to deal with the calls and to defer them to a certain place, to the right place. Very quickly, this is the sort of stuff that we're doing right now. 6 million SMSs have been sent during the disaster preparedness hurricane season. So people were getting all the safety messages that they needed about evacuation centres, about what to do in advance. Early warning SMS ahead of Hurricane Thomas storm surges. So this allowed us to target the northeast of the country, telling these people to get back 48 hours before the storm surges hit. Thankfully, Hurricane Thomas wasn't as strong as people had predicted, but the storm surges came nonetheless, and people were able to save their property and indeed, I'm sure, their lives, for many of them. For the cholera epidemic that's still rampant throughout Haiti, we're concentrating very much on messaging the people and getting the information back through our hotline on where we can best help and address the most urgent needs. Sexual violence, something that's really difficult to deal with as an aid worker. No need to tell you the amount of sensitivities dealing with an issue like this. Nevertheless, it's a reality and it's a very, very big problem. We decided to send out messages very much crafted with our specialists in psychosocial support about sexual violence. Messages about where people can get help, messages about not feeling that it's your fault to talk to us, to call the hotline. We got 36,849 calls in the first 24 hours. These are 36,849 people that would have been very, very difficult to reach, at least in 24 hours, impossible. And altogether, 361,000 people reached. So we're being able to do, because of mobile technologies, we're being able to reach almost 1,000% more people with much fewer resources. And we're able to engage. We're getting the information back, we're listening, and we're able to act on that. We also have radio programs, TV stations, newspapers, all complementing. So the traditional media is still playing its role. These radio stations, for instance, are just the voices of the people in the camps who are talking about the quality or the lack of quality of what we're doing. So it's very much linked to the accountability, and this is a very important point which I'll come to at the end. Also in Haiti, we had all of the other social media technologies in play. In the first 24 hours, our Flickr channel had 1.2 million downloads. We've never had that in our lives before. We were able to set up, thanks to WordPress, website in a box, we were able to set up a website for the Croix Rouge Haitienne, the Haitian Red Cross, which never had one to date. Our tweets just went through the roof, 2.3 million tweets in the first 2 days. We came across all these guys that we never met before, crisis mappers, doing some very, very important work. Taking tweets, taking information from the web, taking all sorts of information from different sources, from different medias, from different individuals, and mapping it, geo-mapping it. So drawing a picture, a virtual picture of where the needs were and where we were needed. There is an important gap here, and that is by taking this information, you do create expectations. So we must be sure that we're able to act on the information that we take, and that's a sort of a crucial point. And we're not there yet. But that doesn't mean that the challenge can't be overcome. This is one tweet that came in to us on the second or third night. We're in the street Saint-Morin below Bel Air near the hotel. We're dying of hunger. Please bring us aid. We got individual tweets for all of these things, for diapers, for fuel, for prescriptions off the shelf, many of the things that we don't normally have to assist people with, especially in the early weeks of a disaster. So this type of information is very important for us because I think it will change and reshape the way that we deliver aid in the future. We will have to find a way to take all of the individual calls for help and reprocess that into a more consolidated response. But these are some of the challenges that exist. Are these tweets relevant? Are they actionable? Can we actually do anything about them? Are they true? What's the source? Is it a security ambush? Are they being duplicated? Is somebody else dealing with it? And do all of these new technologies, are they accessible to the people that we're here to serve? Because that is the bottom line. We have to manage expectations, as mentioned. We cannot set ourselves up with new technologies to present ourselves as having all the solutions, because that will never be the case. We've had citizen journalists to deal with in Haiti, an absolute incredible increase in citizen journalism broadcasting from Haiti out to the world. And speaking of citizen journalism, this is Kibera in Nairobi. These guys live in Kibera. They're playing with a GPS there. If you get an official map of Nairobi, Kibera doesn't exist. It's a big green blob. These guys with their GPS literally put themselves on the map. This is the types of new technologies that I'm really, really keen on. People from the community literally putting themselves on the map. These are hospitals, schools, safe areas, danger areas, etc., that they've mapped. You give them a camera, and then they have a YouTube channel, and they can integrate all of that on the map as well. This is their news network. We made a film with them last September, extremely interesting movie, where they basically identified what they considered to be the needs in Kibera. Health epidemics, okay, we would have seen that. Fire, maybe we wouldn't have seen that. And road safety, I don't think we would have seen that. We're not necessarily designed to identify these types of needs. So we need to start finding ways to harness all of this information that exists in the communities. This is a map that they have done with Twitter, feeding in all of the different information regarding security areas. And there's accessible terminals for people all over Kibera for this. So the model is changing. Many people are now broadcasting to many. It is not just one to the many anymore, and the media is struggling with this very much. It is something I think we can learn a lot from how the media is dealing with it. There's one company, for instance, called Storyful. It is now made up of professional journalists, which is trawling the social web to get the real, good, verifiable information, and then act on it, and then allow those people who are providing the information to actually take part in the story. There's always someone closer to the story, and I think that there's a model here for humanitarian action. This is a story that they did. Red Crossers, it's one way of, this is my own list on Twitter, it's one way of verifying where information comes from. These type of lists are already existing. The software is being developed by companies like Storyful to authenticate where users are coming from. This will address one of our big challenges. But convergence is the key. We need in the future to be able to bring together all of the various social media, new technologies linked especially to mobile telephony, together with traditional ways of working. We need professional aid to be working more closely with community groups. And through mobile telephony, I think we have a really, really huge opportunity to do this. The statistics are astounding. It's already 90% in North Africa, it's 100% in South Africa, it's 60% for the continent of Africa, it's nearly 80% in Asia, it's 120% in Europe. It's the best way to get through and reach to people. We know in India there are more people with mobile phones than toilets, for instance. This is from an Ericsson program in Rwanda, where doctors are being consulted through a program called mHealth. So through their own mobile phones, they're learning about crucial medical issues. They're connected to central areas where they can share information and get actionable information. This is a tweet of myself, which I took crossing the border into Haiti, but which ended up in so many different places, it was sort of scary. Just to prove that by using the mobile telephone, especially through Twitter, we can reach vast audiences as aid organizations, and we can also listen in a far more effective way than we have in the past. This is from our colleagues in the American Red Cross. Text Haiti, it's another way of raising money, using mobile phones to raise money for charitable operations. This is what they did with Hurricane Katrina, $120,000. 5 years later, $32 million through mobile telephone fundraising for Haiti. These guys, these are the specialists, the aid professionals. They're more and more understanding that to use mobile technologies, to use social media platforms will make their job better. It will bring them closer to the people that they are there to serve. And this is something, working with people like Trilogy International, using the lessons learned from organizations like Storyful, that I think we can really broach the difficult challenges that we face today in terms of adapting the way we work to the information that is now coming in, and being able to verify that information, ensure we're not duplicating. At the end of the day, these are the people we're accountable to. These are not victims, these are not merely survivors, these are an active force of first responders. This is in Bangladesh. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Bangladesh. Everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody can be activated, can be involved, can be engaged, can be heard. And this is where we need to get to as humanitarian organizations. These guys need to be part of the team. Finally, I wanted to finish on a Genevois theme. I don't know if anybody recognizes Marcel Junot. He's originally from Neuchâtel but grew up in Geneva. He was the first international delegate of the ICRC who coordinated actions in his very first mission was in the Italian Abyssinian Wars in 1936. This guy drove from Geneva to Addis Ababa on his own, set up a national society, set up field hospitals, and organized people, mobilized people. The point is that we're standing on the shoulders of giants like this who have taught us that working with local communities is extremely important, that it's the only way we can be effective. And now we're in an era with new technologies. The point is, it is not about the technologies, it is about the people, it's about the way we use the technologies. And it is about being accountable to the people who we are tasked to serve, mainly the people affected by disasters and crises. They are the owners of the outcomes of aid, and we need to be accountable to them. And we can do this, we are compelled to do it now. We have no more excuses not to do it because social media and new technologies will allow us to do it. Thank you very much.